이제 내게 모든 집처럼 해 거기 어리스 초짜 T부터 지원해 2023 이건 출사표 난 받으러 왔지 내 목 넌 비키거나 관둬 We ain't got no patience 내 웃소린 더 까맣지게 오르게 해 지나쳐갈 때 내게 하이를 맞게 해 팔 열어 팔 잡아 한 번에 우린 팔 벗고 팔 벗고 3번에 눈치챘을 땐 다음 스테이지 가서 매시에 너의 제일
살금 뭐가 지워 오늘 party just for me 버려 무기 너는 take it close party just for me 애치워 여기저기 닿은 적도 없이 더 날카로운 말톱으로 널 심장을 뜯어대
걸어다녀 펑은 삐딱하게 베이스번 무식하게 귀가 멀게 비행기를 타 택시 갈게 시차 내 머리 팔처럼 보였네 구름처럼 난 하늘 속에 스킬을 이렇게 계속 나 옷은 너무 렉 이들 따라오다 하면 신기록을 갱시 따라가기보다 만든 게 이젠 너 있어 마치 대교 더 큰 페이도 필요 없다고 그 전에 너를 채점해 Better check it 우린 폼 잡아도 여기서 제일 튀어 아마 걸어다녀 제일 삐딱하게 눈치 볼 거면 왜 해 굳이 어렵게 걸어다녀 제일 삐딱하게 Honey bangs, honey racks
살금 뭐가 지워 오늘 party just for me 버려 무기 너는 take it close party just for me 애치워 여기저기 닿은 적도 없이 더 날카로운 말톱으로 널 심장을 뜯어대 반짝해 내 두 눈에 환호해 내 존재 날카로운 내 손에 다 아직 괜찮나 봐 말을 안 얘기야 타일란 틈뒤에 안심한 내 뒤다가가 You ain't gotta get out
Crazy out there, things are getting crazy out there Crazy out there, things are getting crazy out there Go crazy 밤새부터 아침까지 getting crazy out there Go crazy 밤새부터 아침까지 getting crazy out there
I reach out to Adam Briggs, the council president, and explain the situation to him. And we decide to have a meeting in my office on Friday, June 20th at 7 a.m., no less, with himself, John Higgins, Pete Franzi, and myself. And as I also mentioned, it was at the time appeared to be a very good meeting. We had great discussions about things that we could do, things how we could better work with the council, and um, frankly, they talked about working around Steve and what have you. And um, so at this point, I mentioned to Adam that as chairman of the IDA, I have never been notified that there has been a vacancy on my board for the better part of a month. Adam, of course, apologized immediately and sent me uh, uh, the member's resignation letter to me. And we had a great discussion of some people that we were thinking of that we thought would be great for the board and some names we wanted to put forward. That's how it's always been done in the past. We've always acknowledged and recognized that we work on behalf of the council, appointed by the council. But, in the past, council has wanted some input from us. So, we have this meeting and the meeting ends and everything's great. And Pete and I feel like, wow, we got some council members we can work with. And the whole time they're looking at me in the eye and, that's how I do business. And a few hours later on Facebook pops up that Steve Napier is being appointed to the Common Council.
Wow.
Well, so, listen, let me just stop you for a minute because I don't want to lose my train of thought.
Yeah.
How ironic Steve Napier would be appointed to that IDA when in fact he was a council member and had a conniption fit based on the people that I appointed.
Yeah.
How ironic. I just want to remind you that if you don't recall that.
Right. And Rod, look at that. For our viewers, okay, we use the term IDA, but can you elaborate a little bit more on that so people know what that is, what your role is, what you're trying to do? Because not everybody has an idea what IDA actually is.
And that's important because it's the Industrial Development Agency, and we are supposed to be working with developers, preferably industrial, preferably large-scale projects, job-making things coming into the city. Over the past few years, over the past decade, because of how New York State has really pushed a lot of their funding, it got pushed more into low middle income housing, also some market rate housing, maybe getting a little bit away from it. But one of the important things is the IDA was always supposed to be a quasi government agency. We were supposed to work independent of City Hall so that we could act on behalf of the best of the city.
Yeah.
So,
yes.
Now,
that's true. Quasi-government, which means you work for the government, but your volunteers, you don't really, you're not really paid and all that. You're volunteers, basically.
Or volunteers
on behalf of the city,
and to betterment for the city.
Yes.
Now, in the past, if you had a active economic development department, I think you would want to work with them because you should be working in a partnership and as a team and having as many tentacles out in the business community trying to bring people in. That obviously is not going on right now. So, and now we're really breaking away. Why are we suddenly, first off, why are we appointing a political person? But more importantly, if Steve Napier is such an important key to success in the city of Cohoes and getting him on the IDA board, why did they make the announcement on a Friday afternoon? And why did they have a special meeting that Monday at 6:00 for the only agenda item being approving Steve Napier when we didn't even have an IDA meeting scheduled for 5 to 6 weeks? It makes no sense unless they knew how bad of a move it was. So the question that I would ask our city council, and especially Adam and Sean, is do they feel that appointing Steve Napier was the best choice for the city of Cohoes and for our development and our growth and our progress? Or, there was nobody else better in this city. I know of a couple names that we had that, out of respect, I won't bring up because it's all for fruition now. But, you would have been thrilled to hear their names going on the board. They're, well-known business people in the Cohoes community.
Yeah.
If this was such a great choice, why a special meeting? Why are we hiding it? It just
And they never meet on a Friday, actually, Rod, at the Common Council. They never meet on a Friday.
no. They met on a Monday. It was a
Oh, it
Monday,
was
but they
even a
never.
Monday. They meet Tuesday and Thursday. They don't meet on Friday and Monday.
And it's not like we had a meeting the next day with some crucial vote that had to be taken place. It makes no
Right,
sense other than they wanted to ram them down everybody's throat.
right. A fix. It was fixed.
Absolutely. They never advertised it. They've always advertised this position.
Sure.
And they've always, from my understanding, they've always gotten, pretty qualified people.
Yep.
So, I think somebody had wrote, just that whole treatment and everything, just enough is enough. They don't
You
care.
get sick and tired of just spinning your wheels in the city that's going down the tubes. I don't have no vendetta against the city. I love this city. That's why I ran for mayor. That's why I took, the reins and worked 18 hours a day. We got things done.
Yes.
All you have to do is go back 5 years ago. Matter of fact, we laugh about it because when you go to the city's page for economic development, almost 95% of the page is all the stuff we did.
Yeah, that's true. I even checked it out
nothing new.
myself too. Everything on that page, okay, has not been updated since Napier took that position. Okay, it's all the things that Sean Morse had in the pipeline or already got completed. Not nothing from the Napier era, shall I say?
Yeah.
And then look at his holiday hut disaster as a member of the CLDC, $27,000, shit shacks. Okay, and then they ended up in the DPW dump, and then eventually they secretly got rid of that stuff too. And now they put him on the IDA board. It's just insanity.
Well, it's insanity because, the fact that this city has no idea what it's doing, and it's disappointing. It really is. Listen, Rod, I talked to you briefly. I seen you out one night, and I just mentioned the crime. I said, how the hell you got to get economic development in a city that went from the safest to the worst in just 3 years? And you got a mayor who was the head of state police. You would think if there's one thing he could have done, it was keep the city safe. But he's a failure on that level as well, at least in my opinion. I mean, I'm not putting words in your mouth or anybody else's, but if I'm trying to convince somebody to come to Cohoes and invest $5 million, and there's 57 people fighting every night on the streets, people getting shot at, people shooting at the cops, I mean, just people walking in the stores and robbing them, who's going to come here?
No, I agree. And that was one of the things I was very proud of as IDA chair is 3 or 4 years ago with the influx of Mosaic Village and 7090 Delaware. And let's be honest, there were some real problems there. We started a coalition with the police department through the IDA, and they would come in and give us quarterly reports. And what we did in return is get them in contact with the management of these buildings. And I was very proud to say that if you saw my last meeting, Officer Key from the police department was there and was giving a report, and the crime numbers, especially down on Delaware Avenue, had dropped 85% the calls. And I think that was a big deal that we were able through the IDA work with the police department, understand that there was a problem, understand that the buildings are here, we got to make them work. And, through a lot of hard work and effort by ourselves and the police department, we're seeing real change down there. So
here's the problem, though. Every tool that you need to ensure that these properties work safely and they're clean and they have good tenants is right in the city code because I put it in there. Yes. We require property managers, we require permits, we require a host of things. I could shut the building down in 15 minutes if I wanted to. They don't even have a clue what tools they have in the toolbox to fix it. Nobody should have to call up the IDA and say, hey, we need you to help us. Not that it's not important for you to have the ability to help, but the city should be doing that so that they're helping you. So you can go and say, I'll be honest with you, I spoke to Todd Curley about it. You know what he said to me? He said, Sean, I built it. But nobody's called me. I've reached out to the city, and I think, he actually ended up discussing things with you and Todd.
Todd and I met numerous times, and it was important. He understood that we weren't happy,
But that shouldn't have been, I'm not saying that it's not important to have that collaboration. But what I'm saying is the mayor of the city has every tool. We had tools to make sure dogs weren't shitting on the sidewalks, $500 fines, right? We had tools to make sure if somebody threw out garbage, the landlord would get a $1,000 fine. And guess what? It only happened once before they start picking it up. We
Yep.
had leash laws. We had, you name it. We put everything into place to ensure that Cohoes would become that all-America city and that people would want to invest. The fire site still sits vacant. Now, when Pete Frangie was on, I asked him about the Bonaquisti brothers, two people that invested millions of dollars in this city. Why would you have to go any further if they're looking to come? Because my idea is let's keep the people who've already proven themselves, right? Next thing I know, you got somebody who's I don't even know their names that I'm hearing that has an opportunity to get it, but I do know they worked on Keeler's son's house. They bought the library. I like to know how much they paid for that, knowing there was a new roof coming on with taxpayers' money, right?
And they also bought the OTB too.
Yeah, so you got a guy who's nowhere to be found in Cohoes, who's friends with the Keelers, helped build his son's house, and all of a sudden he's the new developer in the city getting all this land.
Yeah, I think it's called Remodel Now.
I think it's called corruption.
Yeah,
I
but
think it's called bullshit.
When the old library got sold, right? Okay, at a council meeting, they already had the fencing up and wrapped around that old library within a week. I mean, to me, if you put in for a bid that you want to buy it, you don't close on the sale in a week. How did that get sped up so fast?
Right. But, I think one of the problems is apartments, Sean, as you mentioned, especially market rate apartments, do not have to be bad. But again, because there's no plan and no leadership, nobody understands what's going on. We don't know why we're putting the apartments here. Okay, the apartments are going here. So what, in normal city planning, you want to figure out what do you need after that to support that. There's none of that. There's no 6 months down the road. There's not a year down the road. We're just throwing things everywhere. I don't know if you guys are aware, but we have going in next to my building here, is they are moving over. We are opening a deli. Yeah. We are opening a deli that will be open from 6 a.m. till midnight across the street from the Cohoes Music Hall. And they will be selling beer, wine, cigarettes, tobacco, bill payments, Western Union, and electronic check transfers.
Yeah, that's going to be a same as you had over at Munchies when everybody's shooting out in front of the building. Because the bottom line is, when you're planning on building a development, it has to have like a glove. 5 fingers fit into the glove, right? Putting a little bodega over in front of the music hall where people are already scared enough not to want to come to this city is just as stupid as putting the library over in the bank, okay? It's just, if people can't step back and say, holy shit, this is a disaster. It's been a disaster from day one. I said if Keeler sat in his office and did nothing, he'd have been a successful mayor because it was already running good.
I mean, that's frustrating to me because maybe I'm more involved because of the parking lot thing that we do, but the music hall truly is the economic engine of the city right now. People do not realize how busy it is every weekend. Owen really has it humming. You just had Park Playhouse here for 28 almost sold out shows every day, twice a day. You're getting spill-offs. You'd be getting more spill-offs if it was more as it was a few years ago, what have you. And we're going to put this next door to our best asset.
Well, you already got 3 of them on Ransom Street. How many do you need? Here's the problem, Rod.
Close too.
Here's the problem. When you have an incompetent economic development director, he will be able to say with his little pom-poms on, see, we built another store. That store won't last. That store will cause problems. That store will be like the other ones causing problems. It is not what Ransom Street needs. He's turning Ransom Street back into everything I undid. We got rid of those type of businesses. We built market rate apartments that generated enough income so high-priced restaurants would come. We opened a music hall. Music hall people seen cops walking the street, golf carts driving down the middle of the road. They were never scared to walk from one end of Ransom Street to the other. I talked to the businesses. Nobody. Owen's doing a fantastic job, but he's not God, right? He can't make all these things happen. People are not going to the music hall at 8 o'clock and starting out down at Smith's at 5.
Hmm.
People are not walking the streets of Cohoes. People come and they go, holy Christ, there's weeds growing through all the sidewalks. Oh my God, all those beautiful trees are all broken and the branches are hanging off. Oh my God, look at this, look at that, look at the garbage.
Yeah.
This Steve Hennessy is another waste of breath. This guy's done shit except cause more problems for the workers. We went to Sean Higgins. We went to Adam Biggs. We asked these guys, you can't get the weeds cut? I go, we get email after email from people saying, I came to your city. What a disgrace. I'm embarrassed. Just a couple years ago, we were in magazines for one of the most beautiful cities up and coming. I don't get it.
It's very frustrating. And moves like this and the lack of foresight of where we're going, I'm scared to death if this place opens. I pray to God there's not an event that really could boomerang and hurt the music hall.
Well, you think they would have learned from the Munchies.
Yeah,
So
they're shooting each other over there.
Yeah. So Rod, I got a question now. I know you can't speak for Laura, okay, Tarlo, but she stepped away from this too. Without speaking for her, do you have any idea why? The timing of you both exiting at the same time, was it for the pretty much the same reason?
I would never speak for Laura.
Right.
We'll let actions speak as they do.
Okay.
The timing, I guess, was right. And a third member, Ralph Pascal, also resigned.
Recently or after you?
Yes, that's the position that they're filling with Steve.
Okay.
So now now we're going to actually do applications again. We're back on the rules. We accomplished what we wanted to do. I guess we sent a message to the IDA. They really, showed us. And now we're back we're on the up and up again. Now we'll have legitimate interviews. I'm just wondering if the people that are applying, if they're going to be told why there's all this sudden opening on this board.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a board.
I'm going to tell you something. The board can only be as good as the city that it works for or works with. There's no, the board isn't. While the board is an independent body that has a lot of power, it can't achieve anything if the city's not willing to be
that's
its
true.
right-hand man.
That's it right there, Sean.
That's it.
No matter what we did, we always hit a brick wall. And the brick wall might be, here, Steve, here's a really hot lead that never gets followed up on, or there's never callbacks or what have you. Or why don't we do this and there's never any follow-up. Pete Frangi and I actually set Steve up twice. We brought him down to the Capital Region commercial real estate agents monthly meeting, and he actually did a decent presentation on it. I have to say, he never followed up on anything. You had 60 real estate agents in there.
Well, I hate to say it, he's too busy down at his business. People would call us up saying, we go down to City Hall, we can't find Steve. He's being paid by the city, but he's down working in his tax business down on Ransom Street.
Yeah.
So
and I think
doing income tax. Yeah.
Yeah, you can go by his house any time of the day. He's home. He's never in City Hall. And this is well known. And
of course.
Why did the council allow him to do this? How's that
where's
not?
Keeler? Where's the mayor? Well, he's home too most of the time.
That's true.
I just don't understand that, and that's what's so discouraging. You said it. So you just come to the point that no matter who I go out and woo or who we go for the idea, at some point it's got to go to Steve, and then it just would die. So I stopped trying a couple of years ago using any capital I had with my business contacts or whatever, because you look back.
Well, it affects your reputation too, Rod. You're trying to get things done and this and that, and you plug in this and plug in that. Then he drops the ball on it, and it makes you look like an idiot. I get it.
People are not going to come to the city, Rod, and spend their money. I look at I brought guys like Danny O to the city, the Boniquisti brothers. All these people came to the city because we had a vision. And we cut all of the red tape so they could get in here, spend their millions of dollars, get their product up and running, and make some money. Anybody who thinks it's not about making money for them are crazy. Their plan is to make money. Our plan is to better the community. It can work hand in hand, right? Look at all of the beautiful development that went on Ransom Street. I got to be honest with you. I see some of these people now, and they're like, Sean, we're down 30%. Nobody wants to pay market rate to live on Ransom Street. The restaurants are closing. It's a shithole. They're fighting like crazy down the street. They're pissing on the cars. I come out, there's broken bottles next to my truck. 3 people in 1 week told me they moved out of Ransom Street because of the crime and the type of people roaming the streets. How can you not just say, put some cops down there?
Yeah.
Walk the beat. Arrest people.
We've been okay in our end down here, and that's my fear. So now we're going to open this bodega up next to the music hall because this end of the street was fairly quiet. So I guess we got to make sure it's end to end now. It's
just so fat ass can say he opened up something.
Yeah, I mean there was no thought behind it.
No,
it's a ribbon cut. He just gets a ribbon cutting out of it. That's all.
Do you know how many times I sat down with Mike Jacobson? And I said, no, Mike, this ain't going to fly. I don't think that will work. Or he'd say to me, Sean, bad business. I don't think that will work. And we would look at all of we would meet 2 hours, 3 hours every single day. I would drive down to New York City 10 times a month. I was out trying to bring people to the city. These people think that you just sit in the chair and they're going to come to you.
No,
that's not the case. And then there's so many morons that argue about pilots and they don't understand how pilots work. I mean, in the simplest form, Timmy, I once was with this developer, thought he was a developer, and he said, you're giving pilots. I said, well, when you're building $25 million, I'll give you a pilot too. He goes, why would you give somebody a pilot? I said, well, why would they come to Cohoes? He goes, well, they'd come to Cohoes because it's up and coming. I said, well, it was only up and coming because we gave out some pilots. Before that, we had a music hall that had trees growing out the side of the building. And we had a Cohoes theater that had trees growing out the roof. I said, the first day I walked the guy down Cohoes streets and asked him to invest $5 million. He said, Sean, I love you, but you got to be drunk. I go, what do you mean? He goes, this is the ugliest, worst city I've ever seen. I'm not throwing $5 million on this street. I said, listen. If we can develop one block of this street and you can see how beautiful it looks, come back and let's talk again. So he said, I'll do that. So we went down to the area of the music hall. We invested $700,000 of Cohoes City money without no help. We relaunched the Cohoes Music Hall. We launched the Rock the Block. And within 2 months, he was investing $5 million on the corner of a city that had a music hall, or a movie theater that had trees growing out of the roof for 30 years.
I agree.
And so you really have to be a true advocate for the city. You have to live it, love it, be Cohoes proud about it, and go out there and work your ass off. You can't sit in City Hall thinking they're going to knock the door down. You can't be the mayor of a city who has no clue what this is no disrespect to the police or the firefighters or anybody. But if you think because you could just run for office and your friends will vote for you, you may win, but you're going to destroy the city. Kaler's a great example. Either he's the dumbest guy who ever was in the state police, or the only thing he knows is state police. So when you get to the city and you have to know 1,000 other things, he can't do it. I mean, he walks right down the street every day looking at potholes and weeds and trash, and he never lifts his head up.
All you got to do is look at his monthly ambulance bill that we're showing out.
$92,000.
I don't know that there's any other municipality near us that's shelling out that kind of money for EMS.
I agree, but again, there's no plan and there's no vision to say, well, let's take the ambulance and see what we can do with it ourselves or what have you.
That was the initial plan. So now we got Mohawk ambulance now. And so all we did is swap one for the other. They're trying to find a permanent home now in Cohoes for Mohawk ambulance, who didn't need to be in Cohoes when they initially put in their proposal. And where are we as far as trying to train our own firefighters, like everybody else around us, to handle things like this?
Well, I want to jump into one more thing before I let you go. I know you're busy. First of all, let me tell you, when I reached out to you when I was the mayor, I knew I was getting a guy that had a love for this city that's second to none. And I think you've proven time and time again that you're just outstanding at what you do, your passion for what you do. You even brought your own business here to the city that you didn't have to do. because you felt as, hey, if I'm head of IDA, I got to act with people seeing that I'm putting my best foot forward in the city, right?
Yep.
So you did a great freaking job, and I really appreciate what you've done. You're a good man, so don't ever think that the community doesn't recognize what you did, and the
Appreciate
community
that.
recognizes what's going on. With that said,
Yeah.
help me understand the Saratoga site project, because first of all, I never seen that project or that piece of property go up for bid. I never
Yeah.
seen any sale notifications about that property, and I'm being told that it was sold for like $150,000, and somebody's got to come in and invest 11 million. I know who it is, and that investment is more about putting their own, their own trucks down there and stuff for their business, and ain't really going to help make the city go boom. But how much did that property sell for?
I have no idea. I have never once had a conversation with City Hall regarding that property as IDA chair ever.
So the city's talking about making this huge economic development move using the
Yes.
Saratoga sites, from which I'm being told they're going to pay to knock it down. This guy's just going to walk in and get this beautiful piece of land for like $150,000. Now, I'll stand corrected if it's a little more than that. But I can tell you this, if you go try to buy that same size piece of land, industrial land over in Troy, it's 4.2 million. Okay.
Yeah.
And so
Right.
so I would have bought it. I would have given him $250,000 if, in fact, I
Yeah.
knew that was going to be for sale. But nobody
It's
knew.
just going to be a glorified parking lot anyway for somebody's business
Yeah,
vehicle.
but nobody. But how do you even start the process without talking to the IDA about
Right.
what you're going to do?
Opportunities. Yeah. It's
Right.
industrial.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's
Oh,
an
absolutely.
industrial piece of property. We were going to do the same thing, right? I wasn't going to lie and say we're moving you out of the project because you're all going to die. Because it's funny, you're only going to die if you live in the projects, but you're not going to die across the street, right?
Right.
You can spit from the projects to all the houses up and down the street, but they're not unsafe. Matter of fact, if I was them, I'd sue the city and say you better buy our property because we're not safe either, right? I'd go after the city for that brilliant move that they made.
Yeah.
Another killer
So,
brilliant move.
so
But
what you're saying actually makes sense now, because I think the price was much higher, but it is my understanding that, I'm going to shock you, Steve Napier had promised the developer an $800,000 grant for abatement of the site. And here's the shock: Steve didn't get the grant. Um, so I think that they are, what you're now telling me is that's how they're getting creative, making up for Steve's $800,000 failure, is they're lowering the price to offset. I mean, I'm piecing it together literally as you're saying it, but
Yeah,
that
but
kind of makes
who's
sense.
Steve Napier to promise anybody anything? These properties should be up for bid. They should be sold. First and foremost, I heard the city bought it for 20 grand off the housing authority. That
Yeah.
shocked me.
Yeah.
The city
Yeah.
should
It
have.
was.
And
Yeah.
I get the partnership. Well, all I can tell you is that the more you dig into some of the stuff going on, the dirtier it gets.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, it, we should be involved in a project like that. That is
Absolutely.
literally the purpose of the IDA, and that's exactly when and where you'd want to utilize its resources.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
great.
you'd want to utilize the resources. You think the person who's building it would want to utilize it? They get some tax breaks. They get some breaks on buying the concrete or whatever the hell they're going to buy, the nails, the hammers. But it just goes to show you everything is secret. How the library got sold to Keeler's buddies is a secret. How the land. I will not be shocked if Bonaquistis get screwed out of it. It goes to Keeler's buddy who built his son's house. If it goes to their property. Now I'll stand corrected if I'm wrong. I'm not talking factual. I'm just talking about information that's being provided from us. But I'm being told that.
I can speak on that. So up to my last day as chairman, anyway, I can speak up to. So we had an RFP. Paul won the RFP. His project was 60 apartments. Paul's credibility, any of that is not up for question.
Second.
Both boards were a little put off with the density of the apartments. It was 60 apartments going there, and honestly, Pete and I had numerous talks with Paul, and I'm very transparent. I said, Paul, we want to work with you, but the boards want to, they just want to put the fishing rods out there a little bit more because why it seems like it's been 6 or 8 years, we only accumulated all these lots, 16 months ago, 18 months ago. I apologize. I don't know the exact time, but so it hasn't, it's one of those, the perception. I'm with you 100%. But what we could really do on development and putting RFPs out and everything has really only been maybe a 2 year period. So technically, it's Paul's. It will end up being Paul's if they come back and there's nothing better and whatever adjustments are made to his plan to make it suitable for everybody. I know people were upset about a 4 story. You know, I work with builders. I think that, sometimes I think bigger is better. It says growth, it says we're going somewhere, but that's arguments for the planning boards and whatever to have. But, I think it probably will end up with Paul. And Paul was reasonable. He understood that,
He's a smart man.
he's a smart man. He knew, yeah, go out and find something because when I do it, then you can say, you went out and shopped it around the best you could.
Yeah.
Again, all we're getting back is residential. It's disappointing. I would have loved to have seen a brewery go in there.
Well, here's the problem. And I said this to everybody when I became the mayor and they want to laugh at me. I said, you don't build businesses and people come. You build people and then businesses come. There's nobody who's going to build a business and invest millions of dollars on Ransom Street if there's not people there to buy their product, right? And prior to that, we would just open up these little mom and pop stores, and within 6 months they'd close. You know why? Because there was no people. I said, build the housing market rate, bring the people, let them see these young professionals who are living upstairs and the bars downstairs, the restaurant. And come on, let's take a look at Ransom Street where it went. Within a year and a half, we had 5 new restaurants. We had the Rock the Block. We had the Music Hall. We had Bonaquisti's apartments. We had the other apartments on White Street. We had all these people redoing the apartments above the stores on Ransom Street. And now there's no people. So if you're a business person, do you really believe for 1 second you're going to invest in a business? Because there's not enough people in Cohoes to sustain it, and people ain't coming here no more. And when I go down the street on Friday night, maybe Smith's has got people in it, but outside of that, everybody else is dying.
No, agree.
And Mike Kostick said, what are they building next to the music hall? Bodega. Congratulations, fat ass Steve Napier, on a great job. Well done. Building another bodega where you can buy some more beer and some cigarettes right across the street from your jewel possession, the 4th oldest active music hall in the country. Yeah. Soon to be probably closed down because who the hell is going to want to go there when there's shots fired and fist fights in front of it like the other?
Well, you got a lot of homeless also hanging around Canal Square Park. You got dogs shitting all over the place, needles all over the place from the druggies. It's a matter of time before they start hanging out inside the new library because it's warm for the winter. It's just going to end up being another Napier mess.
Hey, Rod, we appreciate you coming on, man. We really do. We appreciate your honesty as always. And, maybe someday somebody will get smart and recognize that there's a major change that needs to be done in the city from Keeler all the way down to Fat Ass. They should both have. I like to be the one that scratched the name off Keeler's door.
Right,
and then Steve Napier's door, like they did for me.
Yeah. After the show, Rod, I'll get a link up and I'll post it on my Fifth Ward page. And you can pass it around and share it if you want. That's typically where we post some of the replays. Sean, we replay it somewhere else with you too.
Yeah,
right?
The problem is that we weren't supposed to start the next week, so I just did a small little. There's problems still with Facebook, and I didn't go through all of the stuff. I just wanted to do a quick little show because people were calling up asking me what happened. So, Roger, you're a good man. We appreciate you being on there. Everybody, look for us next week when we're really having our true show kickoff date. But everybody was so interested in why Rod quit that I had more emails about that than I did about many.
Yeah, Rod, I got probably at least 2,500 views on that alone with you.
You're actually up to 5,500. The outpouring of support was unexpected and really, really appreciate it.
Cohoes people aren't that dumb. They know when we shoot ourselves in the foot, and that's exactly what ended up happening here with this Napier move.
Well, it's that, and exactly it, and that's it. We're just going in a circle, and I just can't be part of it anymore.
Yep.
I gave it my all. I hope another chance. I know I have another chance to serve, but
Yeah.
you
Well, you
know,
left it all on the field.
I try to
And we
anyway.
appreciate that. Hey, everybody, it's
Thanks.
good to talk to you all. Good to see you. Look forward to seeing you next week on Truth, Lies, Political Bullshit. Timmy, good to see you. I'm glad you're still alive.
Yep.
They couldn't, Philippines couldn't kill you. And
Yep.
Rod, I know the bullets are flying at you, but you're a good man, brother. So hang
I
in there.
appreciate it.
Until
Yep.
next week, I'll see you
All
later.
right, guys, take care.
Okie doke. Thanks, Rod.